Welcome to Learning Math with Mr. Tan. Today we'll be talking about matrix multiplication, and in here we are finding the product of two matrices. So there are two things that I need to briefly talk about before we begin. So first I need to define what is the order of a matrix, because that is very important in analyzing whether a multiplication can be completed. Okay, so for this I'm going to give you this example, which I have 2 horizontal row by 3 vertical columns. So the way we write the order is row by column. So therefore I have 2 row by 3 column, and I call it a 2 by 3 matrix. Next, what I'm going to do is to define the multiplication operation of two matrices. So if I take matrix A multiply with matrix B, okay, so this is different from taking a scalar multiple, which is just a number multiplied with the matrix. That is a lot more straightforward. Here, I'm multiplying two matrices which may be of different order. Okay, so it's not always so straightforward. It's defined as taking the row of the first matrix multiplied with the column of the second matrix. So my handout actually gives you a rough visualization of how this works. So what happens is, take a look at the second step. You have this row multiplied with this column. What you're actually doing is the first entry on the matrix on the left, alright, this 3, I multiply with the first entry, which is top down, of the second matrix, which is the 1, so it becomes 3 multiplied with 1. Then I take the second entry from the left, which is 2, multiply with the second entry from the top, which is 5. So I have 2 multiply with 5. So you can see with this, the next trend will be if I have a third entry. Okay, so I'll take the third entry from the left of the first matrix, multiply with the third entry from the top of the second matrix, and eventually when I exhaust that, that will be my first entry of the product matrix. Alright, so let's look at a concrete example of how to perform this. Okay, so you can actually go through this example. This handout is actually publicly available on my website, and it's going to be in the description below. So this is actually taken from the second example. Alright, and first we need to analyze whether multiplication can be performed. So the first matrix is actually a 2 by 2 matrix, so it's 2 rows, right? 2 horizontal rows by 2 vertical columns. So let me just put this one more time. Okay, the second matrix is actually 2 rows by 3 columns. Okay, and in multiplication we say that if the column of the first matrix matches the row of the second matrix, then we say that the multiplication can be performed. So an illustration of this, I'm going to take you back to my handout. So an illustration would be this. I have 2 columns of the first matrix multiplied to 2 rows of the second matrix. So if you imagine, if you have 3 columns here, multiply with 2 rows of the second matrix, then I wouldn't have enough entries in the second matrix for the third entry in this row of the first matrix to be multiplied to. Alright, so that is very important. The number of columns, alright, must match the number of rows in the other matrix. Okay, so when we have decided that this matrix multiplication can be performed, then we proceed next to understand what is the resulting matrix order. Okay, so that is taken by taking this and this. So the resulting matrix should have 2 by 3 as its order. So this is the order of the resulting matrix when we perform the multiplication. And this means that my resulting matrix, I expect it to look like I have 2 rows and 3 columns. Alright, whereby these are just spaces for you to fill in the entries. So this is the preliminary. Now what do we do for the multiplication? So remember I said the multiplication is defined by taking the rows multiplied with the columns. So I'm going to do this step by step. So first step, do take note that there are actually 6 entries to fill in. So I'm going to deliberately take a longer time to do this. In fact, take more space as well to do this. Now the first entry here, how we're going to find is to take this row, multiply with this column. Okay, so allow me to just put in this pink color highlighter these slots for you to actually be filling in with entries. Okay, so that will help you to understand what are the things expected to be put in. Okay, so the first row, alright, multiplied with the first column is going to give me 3 multiplied with 1. So that's 3 multiplied with 1 plus 2 multiplied with 5. So sometimes people get it mixed up. So from the start, let me just state here how to do it systematically. So for the first matrix, I always start from the left. Okay, the first entry is 3. The second matrix, the first entry from the top is 1. So I take the 3 multiplied with the 1, and then I put that down here. The second thing I need to add is the second entry from the left, which is 2. For the second matrix, the second entry from the top is 5. So 2 multiplied with 5, and I get here. So as you would expect, if there is a third entry from the left, third entry from the top, we are going to actually multiply like that as well. Okay, so now that I have done that, what I'm going to do is to erase this. The next thing I'm going to do is to take the first row, multiply with the second column. Okay, so again, I'm going to take the 3, multiply with the 4. Alright, the 2, multiply with the 7. And you realize that I'm always taking 3 multiply with something plus 2 multiply with something. So that's actually what I'm going to expect for the next entry as well. Okay, so that's going to be the same thing, except that what I need to fill in is the third column of the second matrix. Okay, so I'm going to erase this again. Alright, and I'm going to take the first row, 3 and 2, multiply with the second column here. Okay, so the 3 will be multiplied with the negative 2. The 2 will be multiplied to the 0. Okay, so my first row is done. So what I'm going to do next is going to erase all this, because I'm going to proceed to the second row of the first matrix. So I'm going to proceed to the second row, and as I would expect, 6 is going to be multiplied to something plus 5. Alright, maybe I should give myself a bit more space. 5 is going to be multiplied to something as well. So this second row is still going to be multiplied to the first column. Okay. Alright. And 6, I'm going to multiply to the 1. And then now that we've gone to the second row of the first matrix, sometimes it also confuses us. So again, from the left is 6, from the top is 1, so 6 multiply with 1. From the left, second entry is 5, so that's a 5 here. From the top, second entry is also 5, so that's the 5 over here. Next, I'm going to erase the first column of the second matrix, and what I'm going to do next is to multiply the second row of the first matrix with the second column of the second matrix. So again, it is in the format of 6 times something plus 5 times something. As well, you expect that for the last entry. Okay, so here I take the 6 multiply with the 4. 5 multiplied with the 7. And then next, I finish this off by considering the third column of the second matrix. Okay, I take the 6 multiplied with the negative 2, the 5 multiplied with the 0, and then I have my working done. So if at any point in time you don't understand what we're going through with all these, do try to match the numbers, alright, to its original matrix and see where it comes from. So that should actually help you to have a better understanding of this whole concept. Alright, so now that we are done with this, what we're going to do is to compute the answer. Alright, just for example, this 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 times 5 is 10. So the first entry is going to give us 13. So the rest, you can actually just press calculator and get 26, negative 6. You're going to get, for the second row, 31, 59, and negative 12. Okay, so this is a really quick video of how to do the multiplication. Of course, there are many different situations where, because of the way the matrix, the order is, it's going to result in more complicated or simpler operation. So I hope this example will help you to understand how we take the row of the first matrix, multiply with the column of the second matrix, and how to put in the resulting entries and so on. Okay, so if you have any questions, any specific questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram, or you can leave a comment here and I will look into it. And if I can refine this video further by doing a second video, do let me know how I can help you to make your learning easier. Until then, goodbye.